Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to part 3 of my all-epic Hydra team series. In the last two videos, we covered Fayne, who's going to be our main DPS with a little bit of debuff potential. We then covered Uugo, who's going to be our main debuffer, but is going to bring some healing potential. In today's video, I've picked my healer. This is going to be essentially what's going to keep our team alive, hopefully, but they're also going to bring in something else a little bit interesting. Let's do it. Guys, before we move ahead, you know the deal. There's a new player promo link. It's going to be written in the pinned comment and description of this video. It's going to get you off to a solid head start in Raid with the likes of Elenaril, Fayne, Uugo, and Tagoar as you level up your account. Here's what you need to do. You need to log out of Play and Play on your PC and uninstall the game. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email address. Launch Raid, complete your tutorial, go to your inbox and claim your first free champion. It's a great promo link, you know what to do. So a lot of people might think that Rector Drath is the obvious choice, and in a lot of ways she is. She puts up Veil, which is going to stop us getting the True Fear every time we hit the head of, I can't remember his name, I think it's Torment, but the head of True Fear. Very annoying head. And also she puts out a lot of healing. However, I've chosen not to go with her because I'm actually going to get rid of the True Fear with a slightly different champion. That's probably going to be next week's episode. So what I thought I would do is curveball it a little bit, and I'm actually going to be bringing in an entirely different champion. Enter Godseeker Elenaril. Now, like I say, I really pondered on who the healer is going to be for this team, but there was something that this champion does that is going to become more apparent as I introduce the next champions into this team. I just thought, you know what? Let's make it interesting. We're going to sacrifice a few things to get it, but I think it's going to make our life a lot easier. So here she is, Godseeker Elenaril. I know it's a Void epic, but Voids are just so brilliant, we are going to have to bring one or two into this team. It's just kind of how it goes. So let's start with her kit. The A1 is just a single hitter and heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of their HP. It's not an overly great heal, but it's a little bit of a bonus that we can get for an A1. I think the magic starts to happen on her A2. It's an AoE attack, heals all allies by 15% of their HP, then decreases the duration of all the buffs on the enemies by 1 turn, and increases the buffs on your team by 1 turn. So it's kind of like a mini stripper and a mini booster for your team. Very, very cool. However, it does mean that we are going to need to bring accuracy into her kit if we want her to reduce buffs on the enemy. Normally, I wouldn't worry about it, but in Hydra, if we, miss a block debuffs or something and Head of Wrath gets increased attack, that could absolutely end us. So I think this is going to help us quite a lot. On to the A3, revives a dead ally with 50% HP, fills their turn meter by 50% and fully resets their skills. Now, I am hoping that no one's going to die in our Hydra run, but it is Hydra, so anything could happen. This is just going to be the most clutch revive plus cooldown reduction that we can get out of pretty much any epic champion. And finally, Godseeker's passive is absolutely awesome. As a general passive, increases the amount of healing allies receive by 10%. That's just solid. 10% heals across the board. You can't really go wrong. What makes her really, really unique compared to pretty much any other champion, if an ally is about to get killed, it preempts it and puts a revive on death on them. So if someone just gets nuked, they just come straight back to life. Now, this is on a 4-turn cooldown, but this is so clutch and it will just save you. It has saved me so many times. So let's talk about Blessing just while we're on the screen. There's probably a few options. I've actually gone with Miracle Heal. Every time you heal in Hydra, it actually destroys some of your own max HP. I got Miracle Heal. I happen to have her at 6-star. So this is just going to offset a little bit of that reduction. Maybe it will just keep our champions alive. I don't know, there are other options, but this is kind of what I went with because I've also been using her somewhere else. So very, very simple. Let's talk about relics. Now, I don't actually know if this relic works in Hydra because of the way it's worded. You receive 5% less damage from champions that have a different affinity. Now, it could be that this is just rubbish. In Hydra, there's no such thing as a void head. So with Godseeker being void, in theory, she should take 5% less damage from anything that hits her. I don't know if this is to be true, but, I might be wrong and I might have wasted a relic, but ultimately it brings her HP, it brings defense, and if we get it up high enough, it brings resistance. Those are the only 3 things that she kind of needs. So finally, how are we going to build this champion? Well, like I say, there is a conditional part of this, and she is going to need some accuracy in order for her A2 to decrease the duration of buffs on the enemy team. As with anything Hydra, we're going to want speed because, well, we just want to take as many turns as possible. We are going to want survivability, as much of it as possible, which is going to be HP percent, defense percent. Also, because it's Hydra, we don't want her to get manipulated by the boss, so she is going to need quite a chunk of resistance. Aside from that, we've got the accuracy to bring in. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'm going to put something together and we'll be back when I've done that. Here we go. Here's what I've chosen to go with. I actually went with a regeneration set, not because it's critical to getting Hydra down, but at the end of the day, she's my healer. She's got no way of healing herself outside of her A2 skill, which she's only using once every 3 turns. So I thought, you know what? Let's just increase her chance of survival. I've also bought in a 2-piece from Stone Skin just because resistance and HP. And I actually bought in a 1-piece of the new Chronophage set. And I would actually argue if you've got a team that can do the event dungeon, just farm some accessories because it's better than just putting a plain ring on her. Now you get plain ring stats, but you also get 20 resistance. Resistance in Hydra is massive. You're going to need a heck of a lot of it. I'm not entirely sure she's got enough to do Nightmare, which we will try and do in the final episode, but here we go. It's essentially a regeneration survival set. If I click this over to Hydra, because I do have a couple of little area bonuses going on in there, you'll see that she's now just shy of 80k HP. She's got 4k defense, very solid. She's running 279 speed, which is really good. Forget about the crit rate and crit damage. That's not what she's here for. She has got 389 resistance. You know, 410, 420 would be ideal, but it is what it is. But she does have 420 accuracy. Now, again, maybe not Nightmare Hydra, but this will get all of the other stages done absolutely fine. Lastly, we're going to talk about the masteries that I've put on her. I basically just tried to max out as much HP as I could get my hands on, so I went down the support tree, just picking anything to do with healing, shields, and max HP. No real rhyme or reason, but that's kind of what I went with. As for defense, I just went down to Selfless Defender. That's kind of because I've been using her somewhere else as well, but they're the masteries. I would argue that you could run Godseeker without any masteries and she would still be absolute top tier. So that's the build. There's plenty of room for improvement because we haven't actually really put any glyphs on the main gear yet. So if you've got a Godseeker in Eerie, where should you use her? It's kind of more, where shouldn't you use her? Anywhere that you need a support, a healer, a tank, a reviver, that's what she's there for. Unlike the previous 2 episodes, I don't want it to get too stale, I'm not going to run her through Dragon. Now, I'm not saying she won't do well in Dragon, she'll be absolutely awesome in Dragon. What I thought I would show is one of the most interesting uses for Godseeker that I think I've found, or at least that I have used in my time playing Raid. That's going to be the Sand Devil. There are many ways of doing the Sand Devil. I've always kind of preferred this way. Now, I do have a proper team that can do this because, you know, once you unlock Siphi, you've essentially unlocked speedrunning for the Sand Devil. But for so long, people were running this combination here. It's just a duo. If you want, you could bring in food. That's also very, very viable. But what this team is going to do is really exploit what makes Godseeker so damn powerful. And that is her preempting a hit and reviving on death. Let's take a look at it. What you'll see is the round will start and we'll die. Boom, we're dead. However, she brings herself back because of her passive. Then she brings Newt back, resets all of his skills. Not that he needs it this time round. And Newt goes 1, 2, 3, and we chunk a massive portion of health off the boss. We just heal, we survive, and then we rinse and we repeat. I've turned off Newt's A2 because I want this to be as fast as possible. Now all you've got to do is make sure Godseeker and Newt survive the next couple of hits with these little countdowns here. And then as soon as the boss does a big hit, we're going to die again. Boom, she comes back to life, brings Newt back, resets his cooldowns. 1, 2, 3. 3 massive taps. What a great team. What a great champion. I don't know who thought of this first, but they literally changed the game. There you go. This should be the end of the boss after his next hit. Everyone dies. She comes back. He comes back. Boss dies. It's so cool. So we've reached the part where we're actually going to test her in Hydra. Now this is on Nightmare. I wanted to throw her in the deep end so that she has to do as much healing as humanly possible. As for the rest of my team, I've just pulled in a kind of Mikage ninja combo. We've got Viral to help us with the fear. We've got Vizix, who's just god tier, decreased speed as well as a provoke. And we've got Lydia, who's our debuffer. And Godseeker Aniri is going to be our healer. So here we go, it's that part of the episode where we actually get to use Godseeker Aniri. Like I said before, there's actually 2 reasons I've decided to bring her into our team. The main reason is because of her healing and reviving. You can't really go wrong with that. But if we look closely, what we're going to do is we're going to put buffs out on everyone using Feral. And everyone's just got Perfect Veil, which means we can now smack the head of Torment without getting True Feared. So what Godseeker's going to do outside of her normal healing is she's actually going to extend our buffs. If we look at what's on the team, everyone should have Perfect Veil. That's for 2 turns, 1 turn, except for Feral because he doesn't put it on himself. I don't want that buff to fall off. So if we actually use the A2, it's going to extend the duration of everyone's buffs, which is just so freaking cool. I now no longer have to worry about the buffs running out and someone getting feared and the run just falling apart. It just means that she's going to keep extending. Mikage is also extending on this team. So in theory, buffs should never actually fall off, which is just going to mean our champions are stronger for the duration of the fight. We should live longer. We should do more damage. Now, as you can see here, Ninja and Vizix are getting a little bit of a beating. We do have the reviving Godseeker. It'd be better if we didn't actually have to use it. But as soon as she comes in with her A2, which should be on her next turn, we should start to see a little bit of healing going out on the rest of the team. This is not a perfect Hydra team. I just had to throw it together just to kind of really stretch what she's supposed to be doing to its limits. Rather than running the full run, I am actually just going to put it on a quick battle. I do not expect this team to go the whole way. All I'm looking for is how much healing Godseeker has actually had to do. So my team actually made it further than I thought it would. That actually went to about 700 turns or something crazy like that. I thought it would just get absolutely blitzed within about 100. Let's look, rather than at pretty damage numbers, because we're not really getting those in this team, let's just look at that heal. Like, God, this team wouldn't have made it this far if it wasn't for Godseeker's heals. Like I say, she's also extending those buffs. That's going to become incredibly important as I start to bring the next champions into this team. So that is Godseeker Aniri. She's absolutely amazing. Don't mind the fact that she's considered an epic. In my mind, she is just a legendary in disguise. A bit like the last 2 champs. That means that we are halfway through our team now. We're halfway through the video series. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've stuck with me, please feel free to like and subscribe. Next week, we're going to deal with that nasty head of Torment. So you can probably guess in the comments below which champion we're going to use. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week.